I'm about to try one of the most dangerous driving stunts I've ever done. To drift on a Japanese mountain pass in my brand new drift car. Now I know what you're thinking. Isn't that incredibly illegal and likely to put me in a Japanese prison? Well, you'd be right, except that this is a simulated Touge here at the Ebisu Drift Playground in Fukushima, Japan. Now the guys have all had their bumps and bruises already, but even my luck is gonna run out later in this episode. I think if I accomplish my goals here over the next couple of days, then I'll be ready to tackle on the challenge of my first tandem battle against a pro drifter. Touge driving became really popular in the 90s when it made its way onto TV in shows like Initial D and Best Motoring. Touge isn't actually strictly about drifting. In fact, many drivers opt to do time trials or cat and mouse racing as well. These days, flat-out Touge driving is a lot less common for obvious reasons. But the spirit is very much kept alive with simulated Touge roads like the one we're going to be driving on today. With trees, potholes, and literal cliffs, this is by far the most dangerous track I've ever attempted to drive on. So surviving this place is one thing, but tandeming is a complete other story. All said and done, if I accomplish the goals on this list, then I'll be ready for the challenge in Tokyo in the series finale. To get a feel for the track, I rode shotgun with my friend Connor. At first, the track looked decently wide, but then as we kept going up the hill, the track got narrower and narrower and narrower.
Well, that's tight.
Yeah, all this.
Holy shit. Wow, look at that. Oh, that's insane. That's actually insane. And that's the cliff that overlooks the PB shop.
I'm not doing any of this. I'm not bidding as far.
Dude, this is ridiculous.
That was insane. This is one of those tracks where like you can't really warm up to it.
No, you just have to do it.
You just have to do it. Yeah, that's not how I drive it.
Look at this ditch, man.
That's a really great way to bonk a wheel. Dude, the only way to warm up to this place is grip driving.
Yeah. I slid 80% of it. That last one where I connected all that,
Yeah.
it was like the fucking scariest thing I've ever done.
That is crazy.
That's one of those things, Jackson, where you're a lot better at just being like, F it, I'll figure it out. Where like, I have to like step up to it. At North, like, it took me so long to get up that hill. It's not fun. But it's like, I just have to like baby step it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't like the feeling of just like being like,
But
oh,
you can't just take that in bits and pieces. Like, you can a little bit, but like that whole
Yeah.
top section, it's kind of, you just have to like...
You have to, if you're gonna break it up, you gotta break it up into sections. Right? Like, fucking terrifying, but it's so fun.
Couldn't be me.
With the sighting laps completed, it was time to start adding some speed into the mix. But man, was I nervous about it.
So yeah, it definitely doesn't come across in video how ridiculous this track is. I mean, to try and get angle through this is just nuts. It's like the full width, like length of the car if you've really like got a lot of angle.
I was genuinely confused how anyone could drift this track. So to build my confidence, I'm gonna do what I do best, which is drive as quickly as possible to the limit of grip. Now drifters actually call this grip driving, and it should hopefully let me learn the track properly before I try sliding it. I'm not actually finding it too difficult to do grip driving around here, but the car is taking up literally half the width of the track at certain points.
Dude, this is a grip track. So much fun. This is like, I don't want to drift it.
But drifting is what we're here for, and sooner rather than later, I'm gonna just have to suck it up and do it. At first, it wasn't exactly looking pretty.
Okay. Touge is a dangerous place, man. It just eggs you on, keeps egging you on. You just keep wanting to do one more corner. Ugh.
But it turned out I wasn't the only one struggling either.
Oh, I found a wild Jackson.
However, with a bit of practice, it was starting to look a little bit more cohesive.
Oh, there we go.
I was especially building confidence with the handbrakes, which you absolutely need to get around these tight hairpins. After a couple of hours, I wanted to see if I could actually link the entire track, so this is what my driving looked like.
not a complete angled track like North Course. I mean, look at this place. It's ridiculous. Oh, there we go. Oh, that is so nice. That wasn't so bad. Haven't linked the full thing, but it was almost all of it. Easier actually than I thought it was gonna be. It's just like, this is the sketchiest thing I think I've ever done in my motorsports career. Like this Touge is the sketchiest thing. Wait, there's literally a cliff right there. I think we're gonna burn through a lot of tires on this place though. Especially up that hill, like, whew, the amount of smoke I can see in the mirror is crazy.
Now, having linked just about the entire track on my own, Jackson and I were actually feeling confident enough to try tandeming. But precisely when we initiated our first attempt, this happened. Yep, my SD card was full, and of course it ended up being the best runs of our entire lives. We did a true door-to-door tandem for at least, I'd say, about 80% of the entire lap. But for now, you're gonna just have to take our word for it.
We just tandemed 80% of Touge, and guess what? My SD card got full right before the lap. When you came up behind me initially, and I was like, oh, I started pushing because I was like, shit, I don't think he's gonna slow down. There goes Crash.
I wasn't even thinking, I was just like, get close to camp, get close to camp, get close to camp. And then he started, I was like, holy shit, I'm going over the hill, and I was following you the whole way.
Dude, I can't believe we don't have footage of that.
That was sick.
Yeah, that was sick. We'll never forget it, that's for sure though.
But before we could reattempt it so we could get it on camera, my friend Gresh, who owns half the car with me, went for his first laps of Touge. After his crash on North Course in the last episode, it took him a few days to get his confidence back. But to our surprise, he killed Touge straight away, so it was safe to say we were all really happy for him. But with that being said, it did not last long.
Uh-oh.
It looks fine. The inner cooler's not even hooked up.
Where'd you do it?
Coming around the big sweeper and then on that little switchback before the end, I went too much on the switchback, just right into that bank.
Oh shit.
Definitely kicked up some dirt, but what does it look? Does it look okay?
That's fine.
Is the bumper like broken?
Bumper, I don't know what that piece is. It's like the bottom lip of the bumper.
Oh, right. It's in two pieces.
It is. It's really good until you.
It's
like such a fine line. I thought I was totally controlling that one.
Yeah.
It wasn't like at North where I was like, oh, I'm gonna crash, brakes. I was just like, oh, I'm chilling. And then it's like too far and I swung it. And yeah, that's just what happened. Which is not great, but it's not new bumper territory.
That's fucking NBD.
I really
was like,
NBD, no big deal. I'm gonna eat my rear bumper today.
Yeah,
Early in
and
the morning,
our front bumper.
And then ate your front bumper at the
Yeah.
end.
Dude, first day of Touge. And we've Ebisu'd both the cars.
Fun though.
Yeah, dude. That's what I said. This track eggs you on. It's always like one more corner.
So after we cleaned up the track and found any missing pieces of the bumper from the incident, Gresh got to work on repairs.
Which one did that?
The car was definitely prettier 11 days ago, but thankfully it's still running like a charm.
Damn, it just wasn't Ebisu enough.
Yeah, it wasn't.
The track was now closed for the evening, so to hit the ground running with tandem practice tomorrow, we got to work on our nightly chores. Gresh and I decided to have a friendly competition to see who could mount a tire faster, which I was pretty happy to have won. While Gresh was getting to work on our bumper, Jackson had some repairs of his own to make.
My handbrake stopped being super effective and it started hopping the rear wheels. I was like, oh shit. I wonder if I guess I haven't really checked on my diff bushings that much. These big cracks.
Oh yeah. That
They're
makes
just
sense.
completely blown out.
After Jackson repaired his diff bushings, he made a rather interesting discovery.
So James, as soon as he got in the car and test drive it, he was messing around with the keys, looking at it, and goes, I don't think these are your keys. And I was like, that's fucking impossible. They start my car. He's like, yeah, but your keys, they didn't have the security fob on them. And he's like, so let me see if they work the doors. All right, so this is what I had been using the entire week I was here. Ignition, everything. He was like, your car had rear dish written on the key tag. There are 300 something keys here. And sure enough,
That one's your actual key.
this is my actual key.
Wow, so Toyota's really into their whole standardization thing.
Actually, yeah.
Gotta save money somewhere, huh? Are those exact?
The cut is basically the same except for this one is serrated, but it doesn't matter.
I guess it doesn't matter.
Weird.
Toyota things.
Toyota things.
The next morning.
The car is now officially looking like a monster truck with the front lip missing, but it doesn't matter because she's still running like a champ thanks to Connor and Jackson's hard work.
That was really good.
I've been long fascinated with why people think drifting is fast. From my years of racing experience, I can tell you right away that drifting is almost always slower. But who knows? Maybe drifting on a street tire in a street car around a twisty Japanese mountain road, and maybe the physics errs on the side of drifting. So I decided to do a little experiment and find out once and for all. So on the left side of the screen, I'll be driving as fast as I possibly can, and on the right, I'll be doing a full drift lap trying to link as much of the track as possible. Now, if you're watching carefully, you may have noticed that in turn 1 and now again in turn 2, that the laps are almost identical. But perhaps to be expected, as we start going up the high-speed section, the grip lap is certainly gaining a ton more time, because I'm basically just straight lining it from corner to corner. On the drift lap, of course, we're losing a ton of lap time to friction and by taking a longer line than necessary. Now, I expected the lap time to be significantly slower through that section, but through these tighter sections in Sector 2 and Sector 3, this is where it gets really interesting. Take the last corner, for example. On the grip lap, it's so tight that I'm locking inside fronts and there's a ton of understeer. The drift lap, however, I'm sailing around this and I think it's actually better on lap time. But of course, what we're after is the overall lap time. Let me know down in the comments if this is surprising to you, but the drift lap was only 4.4 seconds slower, which honestly, I was shocked by. Okay, I think it's safe to say that the speed versus drifting debate is finally settled. So now it's time to get back to what we really came here for, and that's to learn how to tandem. We successfully did it before off camera, so I know it's possible. I'll be honest, at first, it wasn't looking too bad, but Jackson was miles behind me. For sure, we can't call this a tandem, and it's nowhere near where we were yesterday. But maybe we're just overthinking it. I think maybe because yesterday it wasn't exactly planned when we started the tandem, we didn't really think about it, and it all just came completely naturally.
Not the cleanest, like nowhere close to the run we did yesterday. Nowhere close. Like he was like on my ass, and I didn't fuck up like half the corners. It's like so much gnarlier when you have someone right behind you. It's crazy.
Then, a few hours later, Power Vehicles mechanic Jono decided to join us. And Jono's a very skilled driver, so I wanted to take full advantage of being on his bumper. Already, I can see just how much smoother he is. I was really trying my best to get on his door, but he was fast, and I just put new rear tires on, which was giving me way too much grip in the rear. But every once in a while, it was starting to look a little bit like a tandem. Well, sort of. It wasn't exactly a pretty effort on my part, so I decided to let Jackson and Alex around to see what I could do at the end of this 4-car train.
This is crazy.
Jackson and I were definitely trying to get in on the mix, but we were also, I think, a little bit overwhelmed, because having Alex and Jono as a reference up ahead showed just how close you can really get up on someone's door.
Not that direction.
That's fun.
Let's go.
Yeah, I was trying to get up on your door a little bit.
Yeah.
The brand new rears that were so f***ing gripped up, I was like really struggling
I'm on
with
deep
them.
tires, like
Yeah.
I was trying to save them as much as
Oh
possible.
really?
Yeah.
That's you saving?
That's me saving.
Halfway through that last name, like,
Yeah. Well, I was like,
and I was like, oh yeah, we're good.
I was going over that big right hand. It was like, oh god, we're done. Stop.
The 4-car tandem showed that I had much more work to do than I initially expected, but it also gave me and Jackson a much better picture of what a proper tandem looks like. The first order of business is getting that proximity much closer. It's funny because gauging speed is something I should be used to from racing, but I find it much more difficult to sync my speed up with another car that's drifting for a reason I really haven't figured out yet. I guess maybe it's because we're both inconsistent, and so I'm constantly having to react rather than be proactive. So to help with that, we actually focused on one key area of this track, the big downhill final hairpin. And I think by us both doing this corner at least relatively consistently, we were able to finally get to a decent place. And with time, I was inching closer and closer to Jackson. That is until I thought I got a little too close.
I couldn't hear you anymore, and I was like, yo, what the f?
Dude, I just spun and I couldn't turn around, so I just reversed all the way back. Dude, I didn't even need to spin there. It was just because like I got really close
Very
to you,
close.
and I was just like,
Dude, at one point I looked in my mirror and I was like, yo. Oh, so fun. I love Touge.
And as our final day was coming to a close, Jackson and I threw everything on the table for one final run. The sun was now painfully low, and couple that with the smoke of being in the chase car, and it was reminding me of racing in the rain. All I'm thinking about in the moment is trying to get as close to Jackson as possible. And because we have slightly different lines in a few of the corners, and we're still both a bit inconsistent, I'm finding myself having my eyes absolutely glued to his car, trying to predict what's about to happen. Now, that seemed to have been working decently well up to this point in the lap, but nearsighted vision in racing never ends well.
That is Team Joke style.
that is Team Joke style.
Jesus, you're riding that smoke cloud.
It was looking close, wasn't it? Huh?
Just aesthetic.
Oh, it's okay.
Something that's hanging off a little.
Ooh, nice.
It's so slow. It's just like.
I know, I was like, it was just because I didn't want to hit Jackson, so I was like, fuck it, I'll hit the
Hit
bit.
Jackson.
Yeah, next time I'll hit Jackson.
Jackson. If in doubt, hit Jackson.
At the beginning of this trip, Jackson taught me a little saying in drifting that goes,
Tires, gas, and crash.
meaning that if you ran out of tires or gas, or you just put the car in a hedge, it's probably time to call it quits. So for me, this little incident was my cue to end a very successful trip. And kind of ironically, a couple laps later, Jackson actually broke his suspension when he hit a pothole.
I'm calling it quits. I think that was the crash.
You think that's the crash? Just 12 days ago, I could barely use a handbrake, nor could I even link a full figure eight around a skid pad. But with patience and a lot of practice, I feel ready for the final challenge of this series. But even so, honestly, I felt really bittersweet in the moment. I really fell in love with this place and this car, but unfortunately, I'm gonna have to say bye to both of them. Not knowing if we'd ever have the chance to come back here again, we decided to sell the car. As much as I'd love to keep it and maybe import it back to the States, it honestly made more sense to sell it and reinvest the money back into this channel. It was the smart decision financially, but man, was I sad about it.
Damn, man. I'm gonna miss this car.
So to get the car ready, we gave it a good clean, Jackson did some minor repairs, and Gresh got to work on the body damage.
What are you working on?
So I'm repairing our bumper that I smashed with some fiberglass. Basically, I've used some trash to prop everything up back in place, try to get the right fitment.
Ebisu style.
Ebisu style. This is the one puzzle piece we're missing that I lost.
That's the one we tried to look for on the track the other day, right?
Right.
Yeah,
So-
we couldn't find.
With only about an hour until we needed to head to Tokyo, Gresh didn't exactly have a lot of time to make the bumper repairs look pretty. But nonetheless, the bumper is at least in one piece, so we can take some photos for the Facebook Marketplace listing. Once all the photos were taken, we put all the interior back in the car that we stripped out previously, and then of course we put it up for sale. almost to my disappointment, it sold very, very fast because even with the minor cosmetic damage on this car, it is still very clean by Ebisu standards. In the next episode, I'll be competing against one of the world's best drifters at his drift mansion just outside of Tokyo. So make sure you're subscribed and you have notifications turned on because the series finale is one you definitely do not want to miss. So with all that being said, I will see you guys on the next one.